In this video, I'd like to look at an Android app that starts with a bottom navigation activity instead of an empty activity. The code for this example can be found at the URL seen here. Okay, there are a lot more pieces, so I'm going to do a little PowerPoint presentation and then open up the app itself or code and then show that. Okay. So the bottom navigation activity, you start in Android Studio with selecting the bottom navigation activity, and it gives you a lot for free, but it's also a lot of complicated stuff that we have to sort of get to come to terms with. So it's got a lot more stuff than an empty activity. We see here the code, the Java folder expanded, and we see there's a lot more stuff. So here is what's usually just sort of main activity is now main activity and UI and folders within folders. We'll look at the drawable, we'll look at the layout now as a number of things in layout and additional sort of XML components that are not under layout, but are connected to the layout. So the example, what they hand you when you ask for a bottom navigation activity has three fragments: the home, the dashboard, and the notifications. And they give you the sort of navigation for free. They provide the code that navigates when you click on the bottom icon that takes you to the new fragment. And I'm just going to, in this example, just to deal with all the complication, I'm going to try and keep it simple. And I'm just going to take one of the fragments, the middle one, the dashboard fragment, and turn it into an interface and then code that interface. So one, instead of these just being pure demo and just pure navigation, that middle fragment is going to do something by the end of this. Okay, so here are just some of the pieces in Android Studio. The drawable is, usually I'm used to this being JPEGs or PNGs or something like that, but these are XML files now in the drawable, and these are the icons. At least three of these are the icons: the little house for home, and the dashboard, and the notifications. The layouts we'll look at in more detail. There is an item here for the menu at the bottom. So here are the three items in the menu: the home, the dashboard, the notifications. And I can change one of these. So you see here when there are a number of things like currently I changed the title under the icon. So that was here in the menu, in the bottom navigation menu XML. I changed the title there because my example is going to be Straight-Line Depreciation. So I changed it to Straight-Line. There's also some text view in the fragment. There's some header up here. So there are lots of pieces announcing. So the home was in three places. So there are a number of places where we're going to, when we write our example straight line, we're going to have to change straight line. This is one of them. This is the menu one. So I went over to, again, I'm going to pick the dashboard fragment and change it to something I want, which my example is going to be straight line depreciation. And so I started editing the fragment XML. So they had some text view that was sort of in the middle, in the center, and I sort of took that away and sort of started making my own. So I called it TVSL_titles. TV for text view, SL for straight line, and then it's the title of my fragment. Okay, and then I gave it some text, straight line depreciation, And I also wanted to show how to change it in code. So I'm going to add 3 exclamation points to it just to have some code version of it. So what I had previously was just how to put in it in sort of pure design. And now, what if you wanted to code that title? What would you do? So you would go over here where the Kotlin normally is, and when we just have an empty activity, it's just main activity. But now it's got a number of pieces. A bunch of them are under folder UI, and then we have the 3 individual fragments: the dashboard, the home, the notifications. And I open up the dashboard, and I'm going to code the dashboard fragment. There's the view model. There's not much for us to touch. It helps to move between the screens, and we want it, but we're not going to do it. Works, and we're not going to do anything to it. But what we're going to change is the fragment. And so here is the connecting to the interface, and we see some changes here that it is now binding. So normally we use like a find view by ID sort of thing here, but now we're working with this binding. And up above it will define the binding. And then I'm just taking what it already said from design and adding my 3 exclamation points and making it the new text. Just some simple, nothing to it code just to show what changes when we're doing this, working with these fragments in this bottom navigation. Okay, so now I start to make some more serious changes to my my fragment. I started adding what I want. Again, this is going to be some straight line depreciation. Straight line depreciation, you say what my initial value is, my final value, and how many years I'm going to own this piece of equipment. And so that's what I'm setting up there, adding various edit text and text views and buttons and what have you. This hasn't changed. This part is normal. Now here is back to the fragment in code. This part does change. Again, we see again the connection from code to interface has this binding. So that is a change from what we were doing with empty activities. And another change we'll see is in the context. So a simple thing that involves the context is a toast. And so the first argument of a toast is the context, and now that will change to root context. So that is another change to be on the lookout for. So here I'm just showing that it actually works. So here I am on the, I still have one thing that's saying dashboard, so I didn't get all of the changes made here. But on this now from dashboard straight line tab down here, click on that icon. It brings up the interface I designed, allows you to enter initial salvage and lifetime values, hit a button, and calculate the depreciation schedule. Okay. So now let's start looking in, and here it is. So let's start off with some piece of equipment that's going to start off at 70,000. It's going to be worth 12,000 when we're done. And we're going to use it over 7 years. And then here's this schedule. And I didn't do anything fancy, like if I change this, clear it out or anything like that. I just kept it very simple. Okay. Now let's poke around here within all these pieces. I think I've showed most of them to you, but I'll show them to you again. Oh, and one thing was now I got this straight line changed here, whereas in the slideshow, I hadn't changed that yet. So there are values is one place to look, especially in the strings. Here is a place where we have some string values, and one of them usually says dashboard, and I'm not sure I'm even using it, but I changed it from dashboard to straight line. Here is the navigation down, the mobile navigation XML, and we see fragments. Those are the 3 fragments, and I'm working with the dashboard one, and it has a label. And again, so I just changed the label to, I wasn't brave enough to change the name from dashboard, but I changed the label to straight line. Under menu, again, where I'm changing the menu here, and here's an item, menu item, and it connects to an ID. Its ID is dashboard. It has an icon. Look at that, and the title. So that was easy for me to change. So I changed that to straight line. Here are the fragments that they gave us, and I did show this in the slideshow. Here is the fragment dashboard, and changing that is just sort of normal from what it was before. Sort of add things, sort of go to like design and sort of drag things over and give them constraints and what have you. That's all sort of normal. The drawable here, these are the icons, and here was the one I was working with, the dashboard. So here's the dashboard icon, which I did not change, but we see here that it's an XML file. When you refer to resources, you don't use their extension, but in this case, it is an XML, and it is of the vector type, and it has a path. This is sort of like an SVG sort of thing, and so we have this vector tag, and then we have a path tag. Here is the color. It's this is the alpha, so it's like fully you can't see through it, so it's got a full, and then no red, no green, and no blue, so that's black. So it is sort of a solid black. This, and then here we have these M's and L's tell us how to sort of make these shapes over here. That'll be fun to play with another day. Okay, so that is all of the resources, and then there's a main activity I did not touch. It just helps with the sort of overall organization of the thing, which I didn't want to change. There were 3 fragments. I've only changed the dashboard one, and I didn't change the view model. I only changed the fragment. And one thing to watch out for here is these imports that are referring to the sort of overall project. So if you're bringing code from one place to another, you've got to sort of watch these here. Okay. And we had a look at this before. This top stuff I did not change down here in the, now it's not onCreate, but onCreateView. And this all, I can show you home. So most of the stuff it sort of gave me, and then down here in the view, this is me sort of, this is where you sort of return the view. So this is sort of all standard stuff, and it provides you, and then here's the sort of the stuff that's explicit for what you want to do. So that's where I will put, where I would normally put in onCreate, I will put in onCreateView, but I'll keep this top stuff from the return and just sort of this 34 to 37. That's what I will change. So that's what I changed over in the dashboard. So here was the root 35. Down here, way down here was the return. And then this is my sort of my explicit stuff that I wanted for my example. So various text views and edit text that I'm coding. Here's my button click event, get the value, get the salvage value, get the lifetime, clear out any previous schedule, calculate the depreciation, make my depreciation schedule, pop up a toast. So kept it pretty simple. And I think that's what I wanted to show you in this example. So lots of pieces. So it gives you a lot. It gives you all that sort of navigation that you don't have to figure out for yourself. But what you do have to figure out is where are the things that I want to change. So I don't want to interfere with the navigation, but I want it to be sort of more my own. And I kept myself limited there. I didn't rename much. I kept it called dashboard. So I didn't go changing a lot. I didn't add a new fragment. I didn't change the name of my fragment. I just edited within. But even so, there was some, enough figuring out to sort of keep it simple for this sort of first time around. Okay, so that's what I wanted to show you. Thanks for your attention.